Hare Krishna, Namaste. Welcome to day 6 of this 18 days program on the systematic study of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Today we are going to have a summary study of chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita. And before we begin, I shall chant a few prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमा ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So let us now begin the summary study of chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita, which is entitled as Dhyana Yoga. So chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita is exclusively devoted to the explanation of a very important system and important path of yoga known as Dhyana Yoga. The sixth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita contains 47 shlokas or verses and can be divided into six parts, into six divisions. The first part of the sixth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is from text number 1 to 9, which gives us an introduction to the path, to the system of Dhyana Yoga. The next second section from text number 10 up to 17 is the practical process of how one should practice Dhyana Yoga has been explained. And the third section of the sixth chapter from text number 17 up to 27 is the explanation of the perfectional stage of Dhyana Yoga. The fourth section of the sixth chapter from text number 28 up to 32 is the description of the ultimate stage of Dhyana Yoga. And the fifth section from text number 33 up to 36 is the description of the most difficult part involved in Dhyana Yoga, which is the control of the manaha or mind. And the final section, the sixth section of the sixth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, is from text number 37 to 47, which explains the destination of a yoga bhrashta, a person who is unsuccessful in his pursuit of the system of yoga. So now let us begin from part 1, from text number 1 to 9, which gives us the basic introduction to the system of Dhyana Yoga. The beginning of the sixth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is a very important statement by the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. In the first two verses, Krishna again stresses on the point that to practice any system of yoga, it is not mandatory to leave one's prescribed duties, one's responsibilities. One can remain in whatever situation, whatever prescribed duties and responsibilities and role that one has been assigned in this material world, and yet pursue a path of yoga, including the path of Dhyana Yoga. But of course, Dhyana Yoga is a very special system of yoga which does to a large extent require the path of renunciation. So Sri Krishna begins the sixth chapter by stating Sri Bhagavanuvacha anashritaha karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha sasannyasi cha yogi cha na niragnir na cha akriyaha. So again, Krishna encourages all of us by saying that the real sannyasi, the real yogi, is the one who gives up the fruits of one's actions, not simply or merely by donning a certain kind of dress or by not performing one's prescribed duties, nacha akriyaha na niragnihi, nor by simply taking up the path of sannyasa does one become a yogi or a sannyasi. The real spirit of sannyasa, the meaning of sannyasa in Sanskrit is sad arthe nyasaha. Sat means the absolute truth, and sad arthe nyasaha. Nyasaha means to renounce or to give up or to offer. So when offers everything unto Sat, unto the supreme absolute truth, such a person is called a sannyasi. So sannyasa is not just a formal institution wherein one changes one dress and changes some external activities. The real spirit of sannyasa is to give up the fruits of one's action. Further, Krishna explains, Yam sanyasamiti prahuhu yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asanyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. That actually sannyasa and yoga both are same in the sense that one perspective of sannyasa is to detach from materialism, whereas yoga means to positively attach or connect with the supreme. So one may, although it may seem to be contradictory, one, the path of sannyasa involves detachment and the path of yoga means attachment, but it is attachment to the supreme spirit, and sannyasa is detachment from materialism. And therefore Krishna here says that nahi asanyasta sankalpo, unless one gives up the resolve to pursue sense gratification, one cannot truly be called a sannyasi. And now, coming to in the next verses, starting from text number 3, Krishna gives a basic introduction to the system of Dhyana Yoga. Now, actually, this is a very popular system of yoga, Dhyana Yoga. There are many, many institutions, there are many courses offered for Dhyana Yoga. Normally, Dhyana Yoga can be understood to be meditation. So now we will see the genuine, the real, the bona fide explanation of what exactly is Dhyana Yoga in this sixth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explains that actually there are many stages in the path of Dhyana Yoga. The path of Dhyana Yoga has also been elaborately explained by a great sage by name Patanjali. And the Patanjali Yoga Sutras are like the guiding light for the practitioner of Dhyana Yoga. Now, Dhyana Yoga contains eight steps or eight levels, and therefore it is also known as Ashtanga Yoga. Ashta Anga Yoga, the yoga which has eight limbs. And what are those eight principles of Dhyana Yoga. It begins with Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and the eighth, the final stage of Dhyana Yoga is called Samadhi. So now Dhyana Yoga actually begins with Yama and Niyama. Yama means there are many restrictions, and Niyama means there are many rules to be followed. So there are some don'ts and there are some do's. And then it later on progresses to the stage of asana, pranayama, then dharana, then pratyahara, and then dharana, dhyana, and finally comes to the stage of samadhi. In the Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter, broadly, Krishna has classified from text number 3 the path of Dhyana Yoga in 2 levels. And he says that the beginning of the path of Dhyana Yoga is called Yoga Arurukshu, and the stage of advancement in Dhyana Yoga is called Yoga Arudha. So just like if you imagine a ladder, and the ladder has got 8 steps. So the beginning steps are called Yoga Arurukshu, and the final steps in the ladder are called Yoga Arudha. So Krishna explains that for one who is a beginning practitioner of Dhyana Yoga, one still must execute his prescribed duties, his karma, in the spirit of detachment. And as he advances to the higher stages of Dhyana Yoga, then he can give up all his prescribed duties and exclusively devote himself or herself to the path of Dhyana Yoga in the higher stages of Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So now, in the process of Dhyana Yoga, Krishna explains that the most critical, the most crucial requirement is the application of our mind. And therefore, Krishna says, Uddhared atmanatmanam na atmanam avasadayet atmaiva hi atmano bandhuhu atmaiva ripuratmanaha. In the practice of Dhyana Yoga or any system of yoga, our bandhu means a friend, and ripu means the enemy. There is one thing which can be our best friend or it can be our worst enemy, and it is the same thing. So anyone might wonder, how can the same object, thing, or person can be our best friend or our worst enemy? So what is that thing? It is actually our own mind. Our mind can be our best friend or can be our worst enemy. So how is it? How does the mind play these different roles? It is explained in the next verse that bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat. For one who has conquered, one who has controlled his mind, one who has gained control over the mind is the best friend. But for one who has not been able to conquer the mind continues to be the worst enemy. There are many statements in the scriptures that it is easier to conquer all the 3 worlds, become the sovereign emperor of all the lands on the earth. But it is even more difficult to control the thing that is already with us, which is our own mind. The unbridled mind is the greatest enemy, especially of a person who is on the path of yoga, and even more so for a person who is on the path of Dhyana yoga, because the entire system of Dhyana yoga involves control of the mind. In the next verses, from 8th and 9th verses, Krishna explains that one who has gained control of the mind, jnana vijnana triptatma kutastho vijitendriyaha yukta ityuchyate yogi samaloshtrashmakanchanaha. For a person whose mind is enriched with the knowledge and realization, jnana vijnana triptatma, one who is enriched and satisfied with divine knowledge and with divine realization, jnana vijnana triptatma kutastho vijitendriyaha, such a person can very easily control his indriyas or senses, and at such an advanced stage of dhyana yoga, sama loshtra ashma kanchanaha. Kanchana refers or means gold, and loshtra ashma, one considers gold and even pebbles or stone to be on the same level, to be, even he regards gold as nothing more valuable than a piece of stone. A person is considered to be even more advanced when samabuddhir vishishyate, when he can regard all the people and everything around him on the same. One can regard his well-wishers, friends, one's enemies, and all these people and various relationships on the same level. Samabuddhir vishishyate. So in this way, Krishna explains the basic principles of Dhyana Yoga. And now let us move to the next section from text number 10 up to 17, which explains how exactly should one practice Dhyana Yoga. Sometimes people think that one can just sit down anywhere and focus or meditate on anything, and that is meditation or Dhyana Yoga. In this section of the Bhagavad Gita, the most important thing that we need to understand about the path of Dhyana Yoga is, if we have to meditate, what should be the object of meditation? Sometimes people say that one can meditate on a point, one can meditate on any imaginary thing, or one can just meditate on some void, on some bright light, or anything, or whatever you may please. So, this is not the true path of Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga or meditation, the first step in Dhyana Yoga is to fix, is to know what is the object of meditation. If anyone practices meditation on anything except for the supreme absolute truth, whatever else one may meditate on, everything would be completely be futile. Just like in an examination paper with 100 marks, if anyone fixes the object of meditation anything apart from the absolute truth paramasatya in dhyana yoga, one is going to get a big zero. So therefore, first we should understand the object of our meditation, and which is very nicely explained in text 14 of the 6th chapter. But before that, let us understand how one should practice Dhyana Yoga. Krishna says, Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthitaha ekaki yata chittatma nirashir aparigraha. Among all the systems of yoga, the one system of yoga that mandates one to go to an isolated place, to a remote, secluded place, is the path of Dhyana Yoga. So it is actually also the most difficult method of yoga, not necessarily, or it is not the most effective path. Difficult, yes. Effective, no. So, how difficult it is? Krishna says ekaki, it has to be performed in isolation, in a secluded place. So, further, the conditions, the preconditions to begin the practice of Dhyana Yoga are explained as Shuchau deshe pratisthapya sthiram asanam atmanaha. One should go to a secluded holy place, and in that place, how one should make one's sitting place Shuchau deshe pratisthapya sthiram. A firm sitting place should be made, and samam kaya shiro grivam. One should sit in a straight angle of the back, neck, and the head. Samam kaya shiraha grivam. The body, the head, and the neck should be aligned in a straight line. Samam kaya shiro grivam dharayan achalam sthiraha samprekshya nasikagram swam dishascha anavalokayan. And then with half opened eyes, if one closes his eyes fully, one is surely go to sound sleep. So therefore, eyes should be half closed, and then one should focus on the tip of the nose. And in that way, manaha samyamya, one should completely withdraw all the senses from the objects of the senses. Normally, our senses are like wild horses, which are always running from one sense object to another, which are always going astray. But in the path of Dhyana Yoga, one should practice, 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 and bring all the senses, catch them, and bring all of them back and focus within oneself. And then manaha samyamya, the mind which is very, very flickering, has to be now completely brought under control. Manaha samyamya. And after that, what should one do? Is the core essence of Dhyana Yoga. Then one should focus on the ultimate, the actual object of meditation. And what or who is that? The Bhagavad Gita explains in chapter 6.14, Manaha samyamya matchitto yukta asita matparaha. Krishna says, after doing all this, one should completely focus one's mind, mat chittaha, on me, on the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna. Yukta asita matparaha, completely surrendering oneself to the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna. So, this is the way one should meditate on the Supreme Lord in the path of Dhyana Yoga. One should first of all leave everything, cut off all one's material connections. Dhyana Yoga cannot be practiced in busy cities and in a family setup. For Dhyana Yoga, one has to cut off all material connections, go to a secluded place like the forest or to the Himalayas, and there one should make one sitting place, practice yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and then samadhi. After doing all this, what should one do? One should control one's mind completely and then think about the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. Now, one may be surprised and ask the question, but is it really necessary to focus one's mind on the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna only in this way? Not at all. In whatever position one may be in, if one directly engages in the path of bhakti, which is direct connection with the Supreme Lord, one already attains the goal of Dhyana Yoga. To give you a simple example, if you have to eat from a plate, you can just pick up the food and put it into your mouth. Or, sorry, I can teach you another way of eating your food. You should first raise both your hands and then with one hand pick up the food and move it around your hand, and make a lot of effort and then put the morsel of food into your mouth. Or one more way is, you should become upside down on your head, balance yourself on your head, and then with one hand you should pick up a morsel of food and put it in your mouth. Now, if the objective is to feed yourself with food, the simple question is, why should you put your hand around your head and then put it? You can just put it directly into the mouth. So, this is what the whole futility of the path of Dhyana Yoga is. And this is the futility of Dhyana Yoga and the great utility of Bhakti Yoga. Factually, the path of Dhyana Yoga, we shall see in the later verses of this sixth chapter, that the path of Dhyana Yoga has been completely rejected by Arjuna, who is much more qualified than any of the personalities of the present age. So, the path of Dhyana Yoga is most difficult, most impractical, and the most indirect process of connecting with the Supreme. Whereas the path of Bhakti Yoga is the most direct, the most practical, and the most easiest path to connect ourselves with the Supreme. So, still, the choice is always given whether you want to practice the most difficult, the most indirect, and the most ineffective path of yoga, which is Dhyana Yoga, or you have the choice of choosing the most easy, the most effective path of yoga, which is Bhakti Yoga. So, further, Krishna explains in the 17th chapter, in the 17th verse of the 6th chapter, that to become a yogi, any kind of yogi, actually, this principle is very important, that yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkhaha. For advancement on the path of yoga and especially of Dhyana Yoga, one should be yukta ahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapna avabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkhaha. That one should be very highly regulated in one's activities of ahara, of eating, of sleeping, of awakening, or of all activities. Yukta cheshtasya karmasu. In all our activities, we cannot be on in an extreme level. Say, for example, in eating, we cannot either overeat or undereat. So we should be regulated in our activities of eating, sleeping, recreation, vihara, and only then is advancement on the path of yoga possible. Coming to the third section of the sixth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, from text number 18 to 27, when one thus practices Dhyana Yoga, one gradually attains perfection. So, as one attains perfection, Krishna says one becomes as steady as a lamp which is which does not flicker when it is in a place where there is no wind. And yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaiva atmanatmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. We have already understood from the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter that our real identity is the Atma or soul. And gradually, by the practice of Dhyana Yoga, Pashyanti Atmani cha Atmanam. So one can actually come in direct perception and experience of the soul within us. And at that time, Gurunapi Vichalyate, even when we are confronted with the greatest difficulty or misery, one is not agitated or disturbed because one is already situated in the self. And in this way, sanishchayena yoktavyo yogo nirvinna chetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamam styaktva sarvan asheshataha. One should practice the path of Dhyana Yoga because it is very, very difficult to control the mind and bring it to focus in this manner, to control all the senses. So, therefore, Krishna uses the word sanishchayena yoktavyo. One should practice Dhyana Yoga with very firm determination. And there is a very beautiful example of how one attains success in the path of Dhyana Yoga by firm determination. So, before I narrate this beautiful short story, I'll explain again the further important aspects of Dhyana Yoga which have been explained by Krishna in this section. Krishna says that Yato yato nischalati manaschanchala asthiram tatastato niyam yaitad atmanyeva vasham nayet. From wherever the mind, because whenever we try to control the mind, it becomes even more flickering and tries to escape, tries to run away here, there, everywhere. So, the yogi, the Dhyana yogi, must be like a very, very vigilant and alert hunter. Just like whenever a hunter captures a prey, so now the prey is constantly thinking how I should escape from the hunter. And the hunter is always thinking, I know I have caught this prey, and it will always try to escape. So, therefore, the hunter is very alert and careful to keep the prey in his captivity. So, likewise, in the control of the mind, one should be the yogi must be very alert and vigilant whenever the mind tries to escape here or there. Yato yato nischalati manaschanchalamassthiram tatastato niyamyaitad atmanyeva vasham nayet. One should bring back the mind and again keep it in one's firm captivity. And how much determination we need for this to actually progress to the perfectional stage of Dhyana Yoga, because finally Dhyana Yoga means to come to the stage of Dhyana and Samadhi. What is the stage of dhyana? It is explained in all the scriptures that dhyana avasthita tadghatena manasa pashyanti yam yoginaha. Finally, when one attains complete perfection in the practice of dhyana yoga, one can see the Lord, the Supreme Lord Paramatma in one's own heart. So, this is the wonderful result of the practice of Dhyana Yoga, that one can realize, one can see directly the Supreme Lord seated in one's own heart. So, the determination to realize the Supreme Lord in one's own self must be very strong, because the Supreme Lord is a supreme absolute truth, and it is not so easy to have his darshan in Dhyana Yoga. The example, there is a very beautiful story narrated in this connection, that once there was a tiny sparrow who lost its eggs in the waves of the ocean. So now this tiny sparrow started collecting the water of the ocean and bring it outside, and it would carry a few drops, and whatever capacity it could collect in its beak, and come and drop it outside. And continuously the sparrow was doing this. Some of its friends came and inquired what it was up to, and the tiny sparrow replied that the cruel ocean has taken away my eggs, and until it returns my eggs, I am not going to keep quiet. I shall dry up the whole ocean by removing its water and get my eggs back. Hearing that, all the other birds heartily laughed and ridiculed the seemingly impossible effort of the sparrow. But gradually, the news of the great effort of the sparrow reached the king of all the birds, the mount of the Supreme Lord, Garuda. So, Garuda, when he heard about this sparrow, he became compassionate and came and now addressed the ocean to return the eggs of the sparrow back. Otherwise, Garuda said, I definitely would completely dry you up. So, in this way, the sparrow got its eggs back by its firm determination. Likewise, to realize the Supreme Lord within one's own heart, or by any system of yoga, is a most difficult and impossible task. But when we are firmly determined, when we execute the path of yoga with complete sincerity, then we get help from higher authorities, and then everything becomes very easy. Now, the ultimate perfection of Dhyana Yoga is very beautifully explained in the fourth section of the sixth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, from text number 28 up to 32. Krishna explains that, and this is the ultimate perfection of Dhyana Yoga, is explained very beautifully in 6.30 as Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra Sarvam Cha Mai Pashyati Tasyaham na pranashyami sachamena pranashyati. The first step in God realization is to realize the Supreme Lord in one's own heart. And the highest stage is Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra. One is able to realize the presence of the Supreme Lord everywhere. Sarvam cha mai pashyati. And for such an advanced transcendentalist, the Supreme Lord says, Tasya aham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyati. I am never lost. God is saying that I am never lost to such an advanced spiritualist or transcendentalist, and even he never loses contact with me. So, therefore, the ultimate goal of Dhyana Yoga is to realize the Paramatma in one's own heart and the presence of Paramatma everywhere, even in the atom. Andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham, even in the paramanu or an atom, the Paramatma is present. Now, please hear very, very attentively. Sometimes there is a notion, especially among the Hindus, that God is present in everyone and God is present everywhere, which is in general completely rejected and in fact abhorred by the systems of other religions, especially the religions of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. So, the principles, the doctrines of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, they say that God is there somewhere in heaven, and that's it. And they really, uh, these doctrines, they say it is ridiculous to say that God is present everywhere and in everyone, including the pigs, including in dirty places, including. So, how is it possible that God is present everywhere? We may even take an ant and kill it. So, is God killed? Because God is supposed to be present even in the ant, in every living being, in every atom. So, now I shall explain to you the real, true meaning, the understanding of what it means that God is in everyone and God is present everywhere, and how to realize Him. Actually, although God is present in everyone and in everywhere, He's simultaneously not present in everyone and He's not present everywhere. So, how is this contradiction reconciled? Actually, the Paramatma in everyone's heart is very beautifully explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, text number 42, by the great Acharya, by Bhishma. He explains that tamim tam imam aham ajam sharira bhajam hridi hridi dhishtitam atma kalpitanam, that the Supreme Lord is Sharira Bhajam. He is present in all the bodies of all living beings, and he is present as Pratidrisham iva naika dharkamekam. He is present as the Pratidrisham. Pratidrisham means like Pratibimba or reflection. To give you a simple example, if you take a pot of water, if you take a pot of water and keep it under the sun, you can see the reflection of the sun in the pot of water. If you take a second pot, you can see the reflection in the second pot as well. Now, we have two suns. If you keep one pot, two pot, 100 pots, a million pots, or a billion pots, or a trillion pots, you will see how many ever pots you keep, you will see as many suns. But is it the original sun? No, it is Pratidrisham. It is only the Pratibimba, the reflection of the original sun. The sun is still in the sky. Likewise, Paramatma, who is present in the heart of you, me, and every living entity, including the pig and the ant, and even in the atom, that Paramatma is only the reflection of the original God. And original God, Bhagavan, is different from Paramatma. The difference being as simple as being the original, Bhagavan, and Paramatma is only the reflection. So, anyway, the whole system of Dhyana Yoga aims at realizing the reflection of God as Paramatma in one's own heart, and then one can see the Supreme Lord everywhere. And even from his reflection, God being omnipotent, he can reveal or manifest himself, just like he revealed the practical example of Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra, one who sees God everywhere and in everything, is that of Bhakta Prahlada. Prahlada, who could see God everywhere, when his father Hiranyakashipu challenged him, "Can you show me God here in this pillar? You claim that God is everywhere, so now I challenge you. If he is everywhere, is he present in this pillar?" And Prahlada said, "Yes, my beloved, my supreme Lord is everywhere. He is there in a pillar as well." And when Hiranyakashipu struck the column with his mace, from that mace, to in order to prove the words of his pure devotee Prahlada, the Supreme Lord appeared in his avatara incarnation as Narasimha. So, for the topmost yogi or transcendentalist, he can see God everywhere and in everything. But that is the reflection of God, which is also non different from original God. Now, the fifth section of the sixth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, from text number 33 to 36, after hearing the entire system of Dhyana Yoga, Arjuna says, Arjuna Uvacha Yoyam Yogastvaya Proktaha Samyena Madhusudana Etasyaham na pashyami chanchalatvat sthitim sthiram chanchalam hi mana Krishna. Arjuna says that whatever system of yoga you have prescribed, I think it to be most difficult and impractical, and I cannot follow it because the mind is very, very flickering, very obstinate, and very strong. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramathi balavadhridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudishkaram. Arjuna says to control the mind is even more difficult than controlling the wind. Even Krishna acknowledges that asamshayam mahabaho manodugnigraham chalam. It is very difficult to control the mind, but it is possible with two items. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. One can control the mind first with abhyasa, with constant practice, and second by vairagya or with detachment. Now, coming to the final, the sixth section of the sixth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, from text number 37 up to 47, is the description of the destination of an unsuccessful yogi known as Yoga Bhrashtaha. Arjuna inquires from Krishna that suppose if someone gives up the path of material life and takes to spirituality, and after practicing for some time, if he falls down, then he has already left the path of material life and he has fallen from the path of spirituality. What happens to such an unsuccessful yogi? What is his destination? This is a very, very important question. Kachinno bhaya vibhrashtas chinnabhram ivanashyati apratishto mahabhaho vimudho brahmana pathi. Arjuna says that I think such a person is most unfortunate. He's like a riven cloud, just like if you take two clouds, one cloud which is material life, and a small cloud detaches itself from the material cloud and goes to catch the spiritual cloud, and in between it is lost. So what happens to such an unsuccessful yogi? The answer is given by the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha पार्थनैवेह नामुत्र विनाशस्त्स्य विद्यते नहि कल्याणकृत् कश्चित् durgatim tata gacchati. That Krishna says that anyone who has taken up the path of yoga, there is no loss at any point of time. Whatever advancement one has achieved in the path of yoga is never lost. Suppose, for example, if we accumulate a huge amount of wealth, or we excel in a lot of knowledge, yet at the point of death, we cannot carry forward even a single rupee. From the next life, we have to start from zero. Again from ABC. We may be a PhD or a Nobel laureate, but next life we have to again start from ABC. But there is something like which can be compared to an eternal bank account. A bank account, whatever you deposit in it will never diminish, will never reduce. You just have to keep adding on to it until your jar is full and you attain the supreme perfection. And that is the asset of spiritual practice. Whatever spiritual practice one performs, that is our permanent bank account, that is our permanent asset. Suppose in one lifetime, if we uh, progress till 5%, next lifetime we start from 6%, and in this way aneka janma samsiddha tato yati param gatim. One keeps progressing until param gatim, until one reaches the complete, the final destination, the ultimate goal of spiritual life. So now, finally, in the conclusion of the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna makes a very important declaration. He has already described the first 6 chapters, delineate all the various systems of yoga, all the different parts of yoga, from Sankhya Yoga to Buddhi Yoga to Karma Yoga to Jnana Yoga to Nishkama Karma Yoga, and now in this chapter, Dhyana Yoga. The final conclusion given at the end of the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is, among all the systems of yoga, which is number one, which is the highest, which is the topmost. So in Bhagavad Gita 6.47, the final verdict, judgment, is given by the supreme authority, by the Supreme Lord himself, as yoginam api sarvesham madghatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo mataha. Yuktatama. So this is in a superlative degree, just like we have in English grammar the degrees of comparison: good, better, best. The positive degree, the comparative degree, and the superlative degree is the best. Likewise, Yukta is in positive degree, Yukta Tara is in comparative degree, but Krishna uses the word Yukta Tama, the highest or the best path of yoga is Madghatenantaratmana Shraddhavan Bhajate Yomam. One who faithfully engages in the devotional service in bhakti yoga. He is yoginam api sarvesham. He is the yuktatama, he is the topmost, the highest among all systems of yoga is bhakti, or the direct devotional service of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So in this way, Krishna delineates the various parts of yoga in the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, and specifically in 6th chapter, he explains about Dhyana Yoga, and finally concludes by saying the topmost yoga system is the path of bhakti. If you have any questions about today's topic, about the subject matter that has been discussed, you're most welcome to post your queries and questions in the WhatsApp group or in the YouTube comments section. Please do join us again tomorrow for the discussion on the seventh chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.